Let's go over the Los Angeles short-term rental market and what are some of the pros and cons in operating in this area. Before I do, make sure you guys subscribe and turn on your notification bell. Three things I want to cover in this video. One, why I love the Los Angeles market for short-term rentals. Number two, what are the areas that you absolutely need to stay away from? And number three, the regulation and should you or not operate because of the regulation. Let's jump right in. So the first thing, I personally love the Los Angeles city area to operate short-term rentals because there is so much tourism, large population. There's a lot of desirable areas of LA that people either want to travel to for vacation. There's always conferences, concerts, events. Like, just think about this, right? We have the crypto.com, aka the Staples Center, and you have the LA Convention Center right next to it. There's just always stuff going on, which means people are always coming into the area and they need somewhere to stay. We also have Universal Studios Hollywood, right? The entertainment capital of the world. Between Universal Studios, the downtown LA, the convention center, we have Hollywood, like the Walk of Fame. There's so much stuff to do in Hollywood alone. We also have Venice Beach, and then Disneyland is also not too far in Anaheim. So there's just so much to do. We have all these beautiful cities along the coast. You know, I was born and raised in Southern California, and so I've had a firsthand experience of what it's like to live here, what it's like to operate. I started my first 2 Airbnbs in Los Angeles in March of 2017. And so I've just seen the market grow, and the reality is we've always been profitable in the city of LA. So that is why I personally love the city of LA. Now, let me talk about which types of areas you should stay away from when it comes to LA. The areas that you should stay away from are the South LA areas like Compton, Watts, South Central. The reality is there is still a higher level of crime rates, gang activity, and your guests are just not going to feel the safest going into the hood, if you know what I mean. And you know, in real estate, we always identify real estate as 4 types of areas, right? A, B, C, D. In the A areas, you have your super high-end, multi-million-dollar homes that don't even sell based on comps, like comparable sales. It's more like whatever you're willing to pay type of thing. And then you have your B area, which is also affluent and very nice, but not necessarily like 5, 10, 20 million dollar properties, but still a very nice place to live in. And then you have the C area, which is like, it's a decent place, decent area to live in. You're probably gonna have more renters than you have homeowners living in the property, and it's still a good place to live, but it might be a little rough here and there. And then you have the D area. We call this the war zone. Again, typically a lot of gang activity, drug activity. Typically it's mostly renters in that area. Like, people that own those homes typically don't even live in the homes. It's more of like the largest percentage of renters that live. And the reality is, if you have Airbnbs in a D area like Watts, Compton, South Central, the families are not going to feel safe staying in these properties. So I typically advise anyone I know to stay away from those areas when it comes to operating short-term rentals. Now, let's talk about the regulation. But before we do, make sure you guys hit that like button so that more people can see the video. So now let's break down the regulation in Los Angeles. Now, before I go into it, it's important to remind everybody that we have the city of LA, and then we have the county of LA. And in most areas, regulation is by the city, not by the county or by the state or by a country. I just want to clarify that. It is by the city. So if you want to launch a short-term rental in Dallas, Texas, you need to contact the building department for Dallas, Texas. And Dallas is going to have a different regulation than Austin, than San Antonio, than Houston. Same thing. It's going to be different in Miami than it is from Orlando. Just like in Los Angeles, it's different in LA versus San Diego versus, you know, Northern California, like San Francisco and whatnot. So let's break it down. The first thing is primary residence requirement, right? Hosts are required to rent out only their primary residence. That means that hosts can only list their property that they live in as their primary home for short-term rentals. Renting out second homes, investment properties, or non-primary residences for short-term rentals is generally prohibited. That right there is going to limit a lot of people, right? If you're somebody that wants to either get into rental arbitrage and rent other people's properties, then technically you're not allowed to operate because it's not your primary residence. Like, you could be renting a home. Like, let's say you are renting a 3-bedroom property and maybe you're single, you have no spouse and no kids, and you're like, you know what, I don't really need these 2 other bedrooms. Or maybe you had long-term tenants, you now want to make more money with short-term rentals, and guess what? You could convert those 2 bedrooms into short-term rentals and get a permit, right? So that could work. You don't have to own the property. It just has to be your primary residence, meaning it's where you live. They want the owner to be on site. The second thing is registration requirements. Hosts are required to register their property with the city of Los Angeles and obtain a STR permit. The registration process typically involves providing certain information about the property and paying any necessary fees. So for the most part, as part of the registration process, they're going to ask for like a couple utility bills to prove that you have, things going to the property. Like maybe it's the electric bill, the gas bill, the water bill, whatever it may be. They want to see your name on that address and mail going there as one of the ways to be able to prove. Operator responsibility. Hosts are responsible for ensuring that their guests comply with all applicable laws, including noise regulations and respectful behavior towards neighbors. One of the major reasons why there is regulation, or so much regulation in short-term rentals, is these 18 to 25-year-olds who are throwing and have been throwing parties at Airbnbs. And the reality is, when that happens, it disrupts the neighborhood, right? They got loud music, large groups of people, they take up all the parking, maybe they leave trash in the home or in the streets. Nobody wants to live in a neighborhood where that is constantly happening like every weekend. And so I know that's one of the reasons why now they only allow those who are living in a primary residence to operate short-term rentals, because it would limit that. Right? Like if you're living in the home and renting out a part of the home, no one's going to come and throw a party in the property because you live there. There's just limitations. They don't have access to the entire space. But if it's a non-primary resident and you're just doing rental arbitrage, or you purchased a property, or you're managing for someone else, but the entire property is being rented out, it drastically increases the possibilities of somebody throwing a party. So now with this requirement of having to live in the property, it would limit by a large percentage those who would throw a party. Taxation. Hosts are required to collect and remit a TOT, transit occupancy tax, to the city of Los Angeles. The TOT is a tax imposed on visitors who stay in accommodations for less than 30 days. So we collect the TOT from the guest and then we pay it to the city. Typically like on the first of the month-ish for the previous month. Enforcement. The city of Los Angeles has implemented a system to enforce these regulations and address any complaints or violations related to short-term rentals. This may involve penalties, fines, or other enforcement actions for non-compliance. Now, typically when it comes to the actual permit to operate a short-term rental in the city of Los Angeles, they're going to first give you a permit for 90 days. And after you are approaching those 90 days of occupancy, call it a week or two before, you apply for an extension. Now, we have received the extensions 100% of the time. It's never been an issue for myself or many of my students who are operating in the city of LA. And so once you get that extension granted, now you can continue operating for the remainder of the 365 days. Now, keep in mind, depending on when you're watching this video, regulations are constantly being updated. So make sure you guys contact the local building department in the city of Los Angeles. Just give them a phone call or look it up online just to make sure that you are updated with the most recent stuff, in case you're watching this video months or years after it's been posted. Now, I asked ChatGPT, hey, what are the main reasons why people love traveling to Los Angeles? And here's what ChatGPT had to say. The entertainment industry. Los Angeles is synonymous with entertainment industry, including Hollywood films, celebrity sighting, and iconic landmarks like Hollywood Walk of Fame and the TCL Chinese Theater. Many people travel to Los Angeles to experience the glamour and excitement of the entertainment world. Couldn't agree more. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. We are the entertainment capital of the world. So there's just always, always people, right? Coming in, staying at Airbnbs. Number 2, it had beaches and coastal lifestyle. The city is known for its beautiful coastline, stunning beaches such as Santa Monica, Venice Beach, Malibu. Visitors come to enjoy the sunny weather, soak up the beach vibes, and engage in activities like swimming, surfing, and beachside relaxation. Beachside. Number 3, landmarks and iconic sites. Los Angeles is home to several iconic landmarks and attractions, including the Hollywood sign, Griffith Observatory, Universal Studios, the Getty Center, and Santa Monica Pier. People travel to the city to see these famous landmarks and experience the unique atmosphere they offer. Culinary experiences. Los Angeles has a diverse and vibrant food scene offering a wide range of cuisine from around the world. Visitors come to indulge in the city's diverse dining options, from food trucks and ethnic neighborhood to high-end restaurants and trendy eateries. That's true. Personally, I've been plant-based vegan for 6 years now. And I know LA has been voted forever as one of the top places to be for eating, vegan. So this is cultural and artistic findings, shopping, outdoor activities, and natural beauty, sports and sporting events, wellness and health, events and festivals. So just to recap, I love hosting in and around Los Angeles because this is the place to be, guys. There's just always year-round activity. And personally, I love operating in areas where there are large populations, theme parks, beaches, convention centers, downtowns. This is where the activity is. People need a place to stay. And if I can have a 3-bedroom property with a pool, jacuzzi, and a game room that can host up to 10 people, it's still, even with all these freaking taxes, it's still 50% or less of the cost than staying at a stinky hotel where you're going to be separated, right? If you have a group of 10, you can all stay under one roof, have a better experience at a fraction of the cost. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the city of LA? What are some areas where the numbers have been making great sense for you? Or have you had a good experience, a bad experience? What about the permitting process? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.